Hey, how's it going, Chiefs Rays? Bolts here, joined alongside with A'sRaidersDubsSharks. We're going to be talking about NHL playoffs. The semifinals are here, and we decided not to do a stream for this because it's really late at the moment, and it would just be better for everybody if we just recorded it and had it uploaded the next day. Can't really wing it afterwards because the the semifinals are starting today, so it's not like we could just start this tomorrow. We could be a little bit late on it. So, Kasey, just let's get into it, man. What do you think?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about your team series first. I guess the
Okay, let's
Islanders.
get it out of the way then. All right, I like that.
Yeah.
Islanders Lightning rematch. I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're the outsider here. I'm the insider. Obviously, I'm the Tampa fan here. I love this, man. There's a couple things I don't love about it, but there's a lot that I do love about it, and that is that we beat them in the semifinals last year. So this is a rematch, you know.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of those games last year that were really close. One goal games. There were a couple of those, couple of overtime games. So it wasn't like we put them away easily. They were definitely a tough team. But I do believe that the Islanders are not as good as the Hurricanes are. I don't think they're as good as the Panthers are. And the Lightning beat both those teams pretty easily so far. So I don't want to jump to conclusions here, but I don't really see a way that the Islanders beat us here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely. I mean, to jump to conclusions, I have you guys winning the series. However, I do think the Islanders are a good team. I think
Of course,
I
yeah.
don't think they should be slept on, right? But I think you guys have a definite advantage. You played them last year. I
Right.
believe. Did you guys win in 6 games last year? Was it
Six.
six?
Yeah.
6 games last year. I mean, the Islanders they put up good fights in both their series, obviously against Pittsburgh. They won a pretty interesting series, and they beat Boston in a pretty good series. And so, I mean, I think the teams they played were good, but I don't think the Penguins are like a Stanley Cup contender that they beat. Kind of like what you said. Like, I don't think their matchups were necessarily as equal to you guys. The Panthers obviously are a great team that you guys beat. The Hurricanes had a great season. You guys beat them in 6 games, I believe, right? So, I think you guys will win. I don't think it'll be a sweep because I do think the Islanders do deserve some sort of respect in my prediction. I think that it'll be 5 games. I think they'll win one, but I think, yeah, I don't see them winning more than one. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Lightning put them away in five, but that's kind of like for me, that's kind of being cocky since I'm the Lightning fan here. So I'm gonna say Lightning in six.
Okay.
But I'd much rather prefer five or four. That'd be great. Uh, but what I was gonna say was that like right at the beginning of this season when they announced the new divisions just for this weird season, I thought that the Lightning's division was gonna be the worst one. On paper, I thought we were the worst division, and then
Yeah.
come playoff time, we're like the hardest division.
Yeah.
So let's see. The Lightning had to get through the Panthers, which they had a hard time getting through in the regular season, and then they had to get through the Hurricanes, which we all know were a great team, and they put them away in five. So that's like insane to me. I was expecting that to go seven, and the Bolts put them away in five.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah. I
like
mean, I was playing devil's advocate with that series when I did my bracket, and I mean, I didn't have the Lightning playing them, but I thought about the hypothetical scenarios. I thought the Hurricanes could win that, just with the way they're playing with Aho, with Svechnikov, with their good goaltending.
right,
But I mean, I think it's kind of similar to last year because I mean, to be completely honest, when watching last year, I didn't have you guys like in this when I was watching the playoffs at the beginning. I didn't have you guys going to the cup, right? You guys shocked a lot of people.
right.
I mean, I think a lot of people expected Tampa Bay to be at least in the Eastern Conference Finals, but I think the good thing with the Lightning for you guys is like you clutch up in the playoffs, right?
Right.
A lot of the Lightning, like you said, struggled against the Panthers in certain moments in the regular season. The Hurricanes were a great team that you guys lost to sometimes, right? But
Of course.
you guys kind of put them away pretty easily, at least the Hurricanes. I know Florida was an interesting series with a lot of, you know, interesting matchups and stuff like that. But I think you guys are a lot more confident in the playoffs. So I think, it'll. I agree with you with the division thing. So yeah,
When you're talking about confidence, the Lightning, I feel like, have more confidence than any other team in the playoffs right now, and that's what'll happen to you when you make 6 Eastern Conference Finals in 10 years. I mean, that to
yeah,
me is insane. That's an incredible run to make 6
yeah. Oh
Eastern Conference Finals in 10 years, and
yeah,
obviously our only players that from that first conference final appearance in 2011, I think were Stamkos and Hedman. I think we're only 2 players at that time that are still on the team now. But you have, the entirety of our 2020 Cup core right now still on the roster. So they have that experience. They know what it takes to get there, right? And honestly, I thought the Lightning weren't gonna. I mean, I'm not gonna say I didn't think we were gonna get this far. I'm not that shocked about it because I've known that we were a great team. I mean, we just won the cup, so obviously we're not a bad team. But um, no, it's just for me, it's so difficult in my opinion to win the Stanley Cup. I feel like it's the hardest sport to win the championship in, just because of how much. Not it's not just skill. It also revolves a lot around puck luck, and you see so many goals come from bounces over sticks, bounces off of padding, bounces off of the boards, rebounds off goalies. There's so much puck luck involved. It's like you don't see crazy ricochets in football, or basketball. No,
yeah.
it's exclusively a hockey thing. And so that's why I feel like it's such a hard sport to win the whole thing in, because you have to get a lot of puck luck along with your skill. Um,
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why a lot of teams lose their series, and that's why I don't say the Islanders. I mean they played Pittsburgh, which was a pretty interesting series, but a lot of the goals in that series were puck luck,
Uh huh.
just from watching it. And I mean, I think your guys' goaltending's great. You have Vasilevsky, who's always clutching up. It seems like. And I mean, I think, like I said, New York's a great team. I'm not going to sleep on them and say it's going to be a clean sweep, but they got great goaltending too. I mean, Ilya Sorokin, and they got the other guy, Varlamov. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, they're pretty good as well. But I think you know I've said this before with other sports. It takes a great team to go to a championship, not a good team. I
Exactly.
are the Islanders. I find the Islanders kind of in between that. I mean, I never really see them as a cup contender when
Yeah.
in the playoffs started. I didn't think, oh, the Islanders are going all the way. But I also don't see them as just one of those teams that is lucky to make it here. So they're good, but I think I could. I mean, like you said, they won the cup, so I consider the Lightning a great team. But like you said, I know you told me this like earlier in the season. Winning back to back in any sport, but more specifically hockey, is like very difficult
Very difficult.
because of just so much that happens. I'd say baseball a little bit too, because baseball sometimes has luck. You could hit a ball 400 feet and it'll be caught.
Mm-hmm.
Some things like that. But I think hockey, especially because there's so much precision involved in hockey,
Right.
and I think goaltending is really what wins you championships. I think that's why. I mean, kind of previewing the next series, we're going to talk about the Montreal series.
Oh, right.
That's how they go. Carey Price, I mean, all the goaltenders in this like playoffs right now, the Final Four are great goaltenders. You have Fleury, you got Price, Vasilevsky, you got the tandem on New York. So I think that is really important, especially if you go to Game 7. Like if this series somehow goes to Game 7, I think it's anyone's game, and I think that's
For
how
sure.
hockey works. Yeah,
Yeah, and to touch up on Vasilevsky, I think that if it weren't for his incredible performance so far this playoffs, Lightning would be struggling more, because
yeah,
they've shown cracks. The Bolts have. I mean, they've what was it? It was Game 4 of the Carolina series where they just played like absolute hot dog water for the second period of that game. I don't know what it was. It was like the worst Lightning performance I've seen in like 5 years, and it just happened to be in that playoff game. And somehow we come back in the third period and win it. But that was an insane game. But what I mean is the Lightning might not be where they are without Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky is an incredible goaltender, and Yeah, I was just in Game 5 in Raleigh, and I watched close up some of those saves he made, and it was just like, how the hell did he manage to keep that out of the back of the net? Like, he's
He's
been
crazy.
insane,
Yeah.
more specifically, like, in this recent series. And I feel like that's going to take the Bolts a long way. I mean, when you have an incredible goaltender like Vasilevsky, and then you have your incredible core of players, Braden Point, Victor Hedman, Steven Stamkos, you have these incredible players. Kucherov,
Yeah.
who it's just going to be really hard for any team to beat the Lightning, I think.
Yeah, that reminds me a little bit off topic. That reminds me of the Sharks 5 years ago. We had Martin Jones, who was like over a 900 save percentage the whole playoffs, and then like Burns, Thornton, Pavelski, but different.
Exactly.
That's me reminiscing in the past on my favorite team. But yeah, one thing I forgot to mention about just the Lightning is, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only game they lost to against the Carolina Hurricanes was in overtime, right?
It was in
Which
overtime, yeah.
in my eyes, overtime games, I like the NHL's overtime games, but it kind of reminds me of that NFL rule that people didn't like, where like the first team to score wins, which I like. Don't get me wrong, but I think it does sometimes have luck because you know you can make it all like more so in the playoffs, not really the regular season. You make it all the way, right, and then one goal, and obviously losing in overtime is kind of heartbreaking for a lot of teams. But the Lightning definitely came back stronger. So I think honestly they were very capable. This is kind of stating the obvious, but the Lightning were very capable of sweeping the Hurricanes, who, like you said, had a great season, and they surprised me. I know the Hurricanes are a great team. The playoffs I watched the most was 2019, and they were really good in that year. I remember, but I didn't expect them to be like top of the standings all the way up there. Obviously they weren't President's Trophy capable, but they were very good. So the fact that you guys almost swept them, you were pretty much one goal away from sweeping them, in a way, is really impressive. And obviously you had to play Florida, which there were a lot of bad tensions in that. Obviously, guys like sliding into each other. There was controversy about guys injuring each other.
Well, I could go
And
on
in
about that Florida series. That should have been a sweep. And I know if anybody who didn't watch the series sees, oh, well, it went to 6, and you're probably telling me, oh, well, it wasn't even close to a sweep. Dude,
yeah,
we were up 2-0. Game 3, we had a 2-goal lead midway through the third period. All we needed to do, the Panthers are about 30 seconds away from pulling their goalie, and then the Lightning just kind of rolled over and died and let them come back. Panthers ended up winning in overtime. I was at that game, of course, sucked ass. And then the Lightning ended up winning Game 4. So if not for them rolling over and dying in Game 3, that would have been the sweep right there. They were 30 seconds from Florida pulling Bobrovsky or whoever was starting that game. I mean, they were that close from pulling their goalie, and they just got that last second goal to send it to overtime and ended up winning. So yeah, it went 6 games, but realistically, if the Bolts just stepped it up for that half of the last half of that last period, it could have easily been a sweep, and it could have also been an easy sweep against Carolina, if they actually. I mean, maybe not so much an easy sweep, but the one loss was in overtime. But the point I'm making is that it's damn tough to take down the Lightning this year. Damn tough.
yeah, yeah.
So, final prediction: I got Lightning in 6.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I'm just saying 5 just because of what happened last series. Because I already said this, but you had the Hurricanes, great team, and they lost in overtime. I'd honestly a little bit more of a prediction. I say the one game the Lightning lose will be in overtime.
I mean, that's a
I'm gonna
fair
say
prediction. We've seen it before. We've only
Yeah,
lost one game in regulation this entire playoff so far, which is
yeah.
incredible.
So my chances of that being correct are pretty high.
Very high.
Yeah, and the other series is kind of a little bit parallel to this in terms of the teams, because you have the Golden Knights, who are Stanley Cup potential, and obviously as a Sharks fan, pretty obvious. I do not like the Knights. I'm rooting against them, but from an unbiased perspective, they got a great goaltender. They have 2 pretty good goaltenders, a good tandem, but mostly Fleury has been flourishing in these playoffs. And then you have them who they've just been coming back from series. They were down 2-0 to Colorado, right? They went to Game 7 against the Wild, which who would have thought that would happen? Cam Talbot, had a great series in net for the Wild, but they've been a scrappy team, and so have the Islanders, in a way. I mean, like I said, I didn't expect them to make it this far. I didn't expect them to make it this far last year either. And then you have Montreal, who's also been scrappy. They were down 3-1 to Toronto. Look at them come back now, and they have a great goaltender too. So I think it's a kind of a parallel to this Lightning series.
I have a theory about this upcoming series, and I can't wait for this series to end so my theory can be proven right. I'm going to get into it here in a bit, but what I wanted to say was what an incredible series with Vegas and Colorado. Colorado, the President's Trophy winners. Hey, I was trying to tell those Avalanche fans when they won when they won the President's Trophy, I was in the Instagram comment section. I was telling them, y'all don't want it. You don't want it. I had it 2 years ago. Look what it did for me. It was terrible.
I had it 5 years ago. We lost in the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, it's like okay, like I get it, right? They won the President's Trophy and the Stanley Cup same year, 2001. But as of recent years, it hasn't been the same, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I was trying to tell them, and they don't want to listen to me, and joke's on them because they just. But what I wanted to say. How impressive has this first 4 years been for Vegas? I mean, that's like, what is it? They have not missed the playoffs in their entire history. Three out of 4 years, they made it to the conference finals now.
Yeah.
One of those years made a Stanley Cup, and if my theory is true, then this will be the second time in their first 4 years that they're making the Stanley Cup. Because I just want to say right now, right, the momentum they have right now, winning 4 in a row against the President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche. There's no hotter team in hockey than the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah,
I agree. I hate to say it too, but I agree with you. I don't really see how the Canadiens can win this. I would love to see them win it. I have family that's Canadiens fans. I have a jersey. I have a hat. I would love to see the Canadiens win. But, I mean, they have so much momentum on their side. They got a packed stadium, rocking them on. And that's super important in hockey as well. The fan engagement. But I think, I just think, it's so impressive what they've done. I mean, we did beat them in the playoffs in the first round. That was, I think, their first round playoff loss of their entire existence, which is pretty nice, but that's a different story. But I see Vegas winning this series. I'm going to go ahead and say this will be a 5-game series.
I agree with you 100%. Vegas and 5. Vegas and 5.
I was going to say 6, but I hesitated. I was going to say 6 just because the Canadiens, they haven't lost a playoff game in 7 games, right? They came from a 3-1 lead, that's 3, and they swept, so that's 7. And they beat a Winnipeg team. They beat a Winnipeg team that swept the best player, maybe not the best, arguably the best player, Connor McDavid, right? There's debate for that. I'm not going to get into that. They beat Winnipeg, who has a lot of star power. They're the underdogs, and I kind of see them as like maybe a wild card type team. There wasn't wild card in the NHL this year, but if there was, they would be that, and they've shocked a lot of people. They remind me of like the 2019 Nationals. Somehow they didn't have a great season, but they have one great player. They have a lot of great players, right? But they have a great goaltender, Carey Price, who obviously really wants to win Stanley Cup. He's been through so much. But I'm saying 5. Like I said, I think it could go to 6. That's a stretch though. I don't think it will, but I think it could, possibly. But Montreal, they're a great team. I think I could see them in the Stanley Cup the next 5 years. But Vegas, they have so much power right now. They have Alex Pietrangelo. They have Mark Stone, who's been on fire. They have Jonathan Marchessault, who got a hat trick a couple of nights ago. They got Fleury, who is flourishing. They got countless guys Alex Tuck, all these guys that I've seen all year. I've studied the Knights because the Sharks played them, 7 times or whatever. So, a lot of action, and, I games. I just think it's impressive what they've been able to do.
Yeah, no. I agree 100%. I think Carey Price has been incredible for the Canadiens this playoffs. I think he's a big reason why they've gotten to this point.
Oh,
Um, my theory is that it's simple. The Canadian division sucked. That's my
it
theory.
did.
And,
Yeah.
and if my theory is right, then Vegas will put Montreal away pretty easily. Everybody's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, Winnipeg got swept after sweeping. That's so crazy. No, nothing crazy about that. That entire division was just terrible, I think, this year. I
Yeah. And
think Toronto wasn't upset. I don't think that. I think Toronto was a better team than Montreal was, on paper at least.
for sure.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Math.
well, I'm stuttering. um, especially is what I'm trying to say. Especially because they had a 3-1 lead in the series. They had a 3-1 lead in the
Yeah.
series. Like, it's just a Toronto curse. Like, the hockey gods just do not like Toronto. I think
Like the,
Toronto was the best team in that Canadian division. They won the division, and then you just have Montreal come out the top. But I mean, that's what happens when you have a strict Canadian government that restricts like travel because of COVID and whatever bullshit. But I
the
mean,
unfair.
that division just guaranteed a Canadian team gets to the Final Four. I mean, that's all that was. And so
Yeah.
really, I think Montreal has played great in the playoffs. I think that they're deserving of where they're at. But if it was a normal season, I don't think they would have made it out of the first round. That's just me.
No.
That's my
Yeah.
theory, is that the Canadian division sucked, and that's why everybody thinks Montreal is so good. Because, oh my god, Montreal swept Winnipeg to get to the semifinals. It's not impressive. It's just a bad division. That's just my opinion. That's what I think. And I
I
could be
100%
totally
agree.
wrong. I could be totally wrong. The Canadians could beat Vegas in 6. They could beat Vegas in 5 and go to the Cup, and it would be a total shock. It would shock the sports world, and I would be proven. I would be proven wrong. I'd probably get clipped and posted on Twitter and viral for it. But as of right now, I think the reason that Montreal has made it to this point is simply because it was the worst division in hockey, and Vegas is gonna respectfully beat the shit out of them.
Yeah. I completely agree with the Canadian thing. First of all, there's less teams in the division. Pretty much over half the teams make the playoffs, right? And the teams that didn't had pretty dismal seasons. And I think it's kind of funny just looking at the division and seeing the goaltending. Besides Montreal with Carey Price, the goaltending's terrible in that division. So that allows teams to put up a lot. And I think you put pretty much any team with a decent record, even put the Sharks in that division, they'll make the playoffs. Because that division I feel like is kind of a joke. There's only 7 teams in it. Only 3 teams don't make it, and those 3 teams, like I said, Vancouver, Calgary, and Ottawa, had terrible seasons. And so I think, like I said before a couple minutes ago, goaltending is the most important thing. Montreal has the best goaltending in that division. They might not be the best team, but they have the best goaltending. Carey Price is great, right? So I think, like you said, Toronto, they have a great team in the regular season. Like you said, they remind me of the Cubs. The hockey gods don't want them to win. They're cursed, whatever you want to call it. But I think it's just kind of the thing where it's like you're right. They're pretty much guaranteed. A Canadian team's pretty much guaranteed. It could have been Winnipeg here, could have been Toronto, could have been Edmonton. Any of those teams could have been here. But I don't really. Although Winnipeg did sweep Edmonton, I didn't really see them as a legit finals team. I don't really think anyone did. I don't think anyone expected any team from that division to really be up there. But I would love to see Montreal win. I think they do have. I don't really completely believe in momentum. I think you could win by 5 goals and then lose by 7 goals the next game. But I think Montreal truly is in the right headspace right now. They're all in the right wavelength to win games. They've won 7 in a row against teams with pretty mediocre standing. But I think Montreal could make it interesting. I think it'll be in 5 games. Vegas probably will go to the finals. I don't see how a team that beat the President's Trophy winner 4 times in a row to win the series is going to lose to a Canadian team that had a pretty easy schedule all year. And made the playoffs pretty much automatically, considering who's in their division, and they had less teams, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, no, and that's it. I mean, that's the bottom line for me at least is just the fact that Montreal was in a terrible division. Vegas is riding this incredible wave of four straight wins against the President's Trophy winners, and on paper, I feel like this shouldn't even be a close series. There's nobody more confident in the sports world right now than Montreal Canadian fans, and I've seen them on all over social media saying that they're going to the Cup, they're going to win the Cup because Carey Price, because Cole Caulfield, because we're so good we just swept the Jets. Yeah, okay. All right. I can't wait for you to play the Golden Knights because let me tell you what, you're going to be disappointed with the results.
Yeah. So yeah, and I agree. But the only thing that kind of makes me a little bit skeptical is that first series that the Golden Knights played in. And yeah, you have early playoff jitters, right? You might not play your best hockey, but I kind of see Montreal as like a similar team to Minnesota, right? Two great goaltenders. You have Cam Talbot, who flourished in that, who did great in that series. You have Carey Price, and they took him to 7, and that was a shocker. You know, they shut him out in that first game. They won in overtime, right? So, I mean, could we see a series like that? Quite possibly, but Minnesota, I mean, a little biased because the Sharks were in this division, but the West Division was a really good division this year. You know, you had
Mm.
6 teams in the playoffs, including the Sharks, even though they, totally fumbled it at the end of the year. You know, the Coyotes were in the runnings for it. You had a lot of teams that were trying to get to the playoffs. So I mean, yeah, I think simply the Knights will win. And it's going to be an interesting finals, but I think Montreal could make it interesting in 1 or 2 games. I don't think any more than that.
True.
So yeah, definitely.
Well, it's just the fact that Montreal has not played any team outside of their division, and that same goes for the rest of these teams that have made it to the semifinals. This is going to be the first time that they've played each other all season, so
Yeah,
it'll be interesting for sure. It's very unpredictable just because we don't have any regular season matchups to go off of, but I can't see a way that Montreal wins this series given the circumstances. And honestly, I think Tampa's gonna beat New York, and we're gonna get a Vegas Tampa final. That's my final prediction.
right. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, kind of jumping the gun on this, but like, let's say that's the series outcome, right? Which is very, very likely to happen because you have two favorites, right? Tampa versus Vegas. How do you see that series going?
It'd be awesome. It'd be absolutely
Yeah.
awesome. You know what? I don't want to like jump ahead. You know what I mean? We still have to get through the
Yeah.
Islanders here. I don't want to make any predictions on a series that's not guaranteed. But I will definitely elaborate more on that if that becomes a reality. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, I can tell you right now, I'd be rooting for you guys passionately.
Oh yeah, I
Because
bet you would. I bet you would,
yeah,
man.
I
Yeah,
that nighty night with the Sharks logo eating the Vegas Golden Knights helmet. You've
that's
probably
dope.
seen it
That's
before.
dope.
Yeah, I do not like the Knights, which is kind of funny because I'm a Raiders fan. They play in Vegas,
Mm,
but I still consider them Oakland. So
of course.
kind of an interesting conflict. I have a YouTube video that's 10 minutes long dedicated to that one topic. But yeah, I think that would be probably one of the highest watched finals, even though you have two fairly oddball locations. Obviously you have like when you think of hockey teams, you think of New York, like cold places, right? You have two like
Minnesota, Toronto. Yeah,
yeah,
I feel what you mean.
yeah, you have two very different sides of the spectrum. You have Vegas, which is
The
a new
beach and the
team.
desert.
Yeah, exactly. And you have like the Vegas Golden Knights have surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, because they've done a great job with branding with that crazy, gold jersey and the fan experience. They have a huge fan base. You have you guys who are just coming off a cup win. Probably all the, you can speak from experience being in Tampa. A lot of fanning support.
Oh,
So I think
it's
this is
insane
probably one of
here.
the highest rated. Yeah, probably one of the highest rated Stanley Cups in history, I think, in terms of TV ratings and stuff like that. But I mean, I think I don't want to jump ahead either because who's to say that these teams will even be in the finals, even though we're predicting it, and it is the likely outcome. But I mean, I think that would be a really good series, a
I
goaltender
would love it.
battle
Yeah.
between Vasilevsky. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, no, I actually ever since the Golden Knights became a franchise, I've always liked their whole theme. You know what I mean? It's kind of like based off of medieval times. I love the gold and the this like silver. I just think the whole thing is so dope. I think they have the best jerseys in hockey. I'm just gonna say that right now. Like, I think the Golden Knights have the best jerseys. So, and I've always kind of been a small, side fan of theirs just because of their branding ever since they became a team. So ever since then I've been like, oh, what'd be dope is a Vegas Tampa final. And this, I think in December. No, it was September. I think it was September. I uploaded a video, my dream sports finals matchups. I had Chiefs Bucks long before that happened. That was my NFL dream matchup. Look, it happened. And then what I had for my NHL dream matchup was Tampa Vegas, and it's come really close. 3 years now. 3 years. 2018. It was Vegas Capitals. One game. It went to Game 7. If Tampa would have won Game 7, that would have been it right there. Tampa Vegas. You had the 2020 conference finals. Tampa won. Vegas didn't. And this year we get it all over again. Maybe it'll happen this time. Who knows? But this is the third time in like 4 years that both these teams are in the conference finals together. So we'll just have to wait and see. Any last thoughts or comments, Kasey?
Yeah, I think it would be a great final. I love the aesthetic of the Vegas Golden Knights, like you said, the medieval times. I kind of naturally have to hate them. That's how it's going to be with the Kraken probably too. We're going to probably have a rivalry with the Kraken. And I also am kind of anti Las Vegas with the whole Raiders move and how they kind of took our team away. But I love their jerseys. I think they probably have the best logo in the league, maybe even the best jerseys. But I think a Tampa Vegas final would be great. I think it's funny that you guys were so close to playing each other, and in 2019 you both got out in the first round, which is kind of weird.
It's like we're destined to like meet up in the end at one of these years.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, exactly. You're like all on the same path. It's either you guys make it to the finals or they do, or you both get out in the first round. But I think this year is the year, just with the way you have. I mean, I don't really think people are, unless you're an Islanders fan, you're like very anti Tampa Bay Bolts. You're gonna actually unironically say the Islanders are gonna make it. And it's the same thing with Montreal. Unless you're from Canada, I don't really think anyone's saying, "Oh yeah, Habs in 6." I think a lot of people are expecting this finals. It's very destined to happen, I think, and it's going to be really exciting if/when it does. So yeah, I agree.
Man, well, I think that's it. This is a 30-minute video. I think we touched up on pretty much everything. I can't wait. The playoffs start. When I upload this, the playoffs start today. And 3 o'clock, it's the Lightning and the Islanders that start things off for the semifinals, and I'm super excited to watch it. Let's be real. It's going to be some dope hockey. There is nothing like playoff hockey. It's always this time of the playoffs where things start heating up and getting really fun to watch. So,
for sure.
That's all I got. So I will catch you in the next video. I'm sure you'll catch Kasey in his next video since it's going to be like a joint upload here. And thank you for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace out.
See you guys.